And next, I'd like to welcome Kim Edwards, the co founder of Kim's House Incorporated, whose mission is to provide academically enriched programs and services that encompass all aspects of educational development for students and educators they serve.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for reaching out to Kim's House. We offer tutoring, early intervention programs, transition programs, homeschool, homebound. We you name it, we offer it to our students in our community and around the country. And we work with children with disabilities, children who do not have disabilities. We just believe in helping children and families with their educational needs. This evening, I would like to speak on creating a great learning environment in the home. Question: as a parent, how do I create a great learning environment in the home? And here are some answers to those questions, to these questions. One question: talk about learning expectations and rewards in the home. Create learning areas in the home. Speak in positive language about learning. Create a learning village. Talk about learning expectations and rewards. Note, parents, you are your children's first teachers. Kids do more about what you do, meaning what you model, and not all so much about what you say. Teach the importance of being engaged in learning. Examples giving paying attention, teaching your kids how to pay attention. Um, you might be having a conversation with your child or your children, and you notice that they're not paying attention. You can just stop the conversation and just ask them, "What did I say?" and ask them to repeat what you said. And that's a good method of teaching the importance of paying attention. Also, when they're doing activities in the home, or someone else is, I should say, is doing something in the home and they're not paying attention, or one main one, if they're on the computer and they are playing games and you have put them on something else to do and they're not paying attention to that, you can stop and ask them, okay, what are you doing? And talk about the importance of paying attention. It's and connected to real world experiences. Teach being a good listener. That is a learning, that's a skill in and of itself, is to learn how to be a good listener. The importance of being a good listener, taking the time out in the home and having opportunities for each person to sit and speak and talk, and everyone is actually listening, practicing engaging in listening as a family, sitting at the table, sitting wherever you sit and engage, come together in your home and just have a listening activity. Just everybody is engaged in listening, to practicing, really practicing listening. Teach asking for help when needed. So I know some kids have that problem. I work with a lot of children, and a lot of times at school, the pace is so fast that they don't get an opportunity to ask questions. And that's something that is being basically kind of pulled away from kids, is the the knowledge or the skill of saying, okay, I need help, admitting that I need help, and then knowing where to go get that help as a parent. And I'll talk about that in just a second, where you can find help and develop help um, um, around you and in your village. Teach owning your learning experience. That's very important. So when you use language in the home, and the child comes, "Oh, mom, or dad, I made a 100 on my test," and you say, "Oh, that's good." Now take that as a teachable moment and say, "Okay, I knew you got this." Use that term. I knew you could do it. Um, let them know that is the importance of, now that you know this, you own it. No one can ever take that away from you, because that knowledge is in your mind, is embedded in you. And so that's something that you earn, you own. And if you promote that language in the home, that brings up self-esteem, that brings up the will to want to try even more. And what I mean by that is your child or your children. Teach being ready to learn. Always, be on. Teach them to be on point and ready to learn. the importance of being ready to learn, importance of not missing out on opportunities that come their way. And if when they're ready to learn and they're in the mode of learning, then they will know, okay, well, this is something I need to, they know when it's time to learn and when it's not. Everything is not fun, 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 fun. There are times where even little people need to learn where it's time to learn and time to turn on the thinking cap and turn on the listening ears and be quiet and actually be engaged and learn. And that's a process as well as teaching kids, small kids, when to do that and when it's appropriate and when it's not. And then earn rewards um, when expectations are met. That's so important. Kids, just like we all like to know when we've done something great, when we've done something good, when we have achieved something that we really worked hard at, and we want people to know and acknowledge that I've done this, I did this, and have that in place. Even with consequences, because when you have rewards, you have consequences. That's the anonym for that. And so, they know that that's in place. And discuss and write down learning expectations and rewards, meaning that the expectations just shouldn't come from you, the parent. It should be a discussion, but that's how it's done at school. When we do responsive classroom in school, we all sit at the carpet. We all come up with behaviors and expectations and rewards and even consequences, and we write them down. And so you create that type of those type of expectation in your home. Each home has their own different type of expectation, and we always think about expectations about being behavior, but learning is a behavior. Learning is a behavior, just like any other type of behavior. If you don't have positive structure ways of learning, then it become chaotic and it really doesn't work well. And the frustration comes in and struggling comes in. That's when struggling, lots of times when kids are struggling in school because the expectations have not been laid out at home and it's not matching at school. And this specific type of discussion and write down of learning expectation, it mirrors what it's actually done at school, and especially on the elementary level. This is done at school. And so if you're doing this at school and kids are doing it at home, just think how well or how better kids will perform in school if home and school are doing pretty much kind of the same thing, and also turn this expectation into an agreement, and put it somewhere, put it on the refrigerator, write it down so you can refer back to it, so when things get off track of the expectations in the home for as it relates to learning. And I have some here: pay attention, listen when someone is teaching. And I said teaching, not speaking, because kids know when to turn it off when somebody's speaking, but they don't know when to turn it off when someone is actually teaching them something. They're in the mode of wanting to receive learning. And so that has to be taught at home, because like I said, parents, you're the first teacher. And so that has to be taught at the beginning, even before kids come to school, learning when to listen when someone is teaching you something. Number 3, ask questions when needed. And when needed, not just all the, just be asking, but truly having a thought, teaching kids how to think outside the box, think and actually look at things and ask, look at things and say, hey, I got a question. I have a legitimate question, and let them know that no question is not dumb. No question is stupid. No question. Everybody should be valued about what they think and what they have to offer, and because what that child may have to ask, another child in the home or even at school might have that same question, but just afraid to ask. And finally, on this one, do your assignments with effort. Preach, preach, preach. Teach your kids not to half step. That was my biggest pet peeve with my kids at school, was don't half step. Do it with great effort. No one is, expecting, we like to see an A or B or C, but if a hard C is just as, is a good grade, if you've given it your all. And so, and then once again, rewards. Write down the rewards, extra time playing games, gift cards. What I didn't put on here is, which usually goes on the responsive classroom, is the consequences. And that should be discussed as well and written on the agreement. Creating learning areas in the home. Since the pandemic, we've had to do a lot of changing, a lot of adjustment, and a lot of kids now are having a lot of different opportunities and different avenues to get educated now. You have in person, with your traditional school settings, you have homeschooling, you have, even a lot of kids now are even still online going to school. And so, when we started, this is actually somebody that sent me this and you can set this up. It has her name on it. The tripod boards, you can get them now for $1.25 now. Dollar Tree has gone up from $1 to $1.25 now, so you can get these tripod boards. If you have kind of for kids in the home, they're portable. You can close them up and put them down and use your table. So this is one right here. This is a child that's actually that's virtually. Here is now these two kids I don't know, but I thought this was such an interesting photo of kids working. They have everything they need on their tripod board, and they're sitting quietly and they're working. This is called having some structure in the home. This is a time where, okay, kids, we're going to sit down at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and especially when you get, in 3 weeks, you'll be out on break. You still need some time where they're doing something, be it that they're drawing, be it they're actually doing some of your work, because some teachers do send home assignments during the Christmas break, some do not, but be it whatever they're doing, they can use this type of setting to do their work. And once again, those tripods are foldable. You can fold them up and put them down if you need to use the table for something else. And they're personalized. As you can see, each child has something different in theirs. And here's one right here. This is one of my students, that sister, her mom created this one, and she was a kindergarten kid last year, and she put her numbers on hers, her ABCs. She just put all the different little things that she thought Jasmine would need, and on her tripod board for this is when we were doing not in person, but we were doing virtual, and she probably is still using this in the home even when they come home and do homework. And here is Kamari's, her brother. And he, of course, he was older, and she put some things in here that he was working on to help him as well. And then speaking positive language about learning in the home. Suggest positive, the suggested positive language. Speak positive words daily in the home about the importance of learning and learning. Importance of learn assignments or I think it should be importance of learning your assignments. That image is kind of in the way there, but stay on task. Listen. These are terms that parents should be using at home. Example words you should be using in the home to promote the atmosphere of positive learning. Telling kids to stay on task. I'm listening. You need to be listening. Get organized. Show them how to get organized. Model that for them. Work hard. Learn. Be respectful. We all, most kids know about the 3 R's, because every school talk about the 3 R's: being responsible, respectful, and being I think it's responsible, respectful, and I know one is being safe, but I know it's responsible, being respectful, and there's another one. But anyway, but they know those 3 R's. This here is a little bit different. This here is actually telling kids to concentrate and model for them to concentrate. Model for them how to focus, stay on task. Use these words. Be neat. Yes, be neat. That would have some pride in your work. Teaching that, using that language in the home, and actually modeling it and making it happen, and making them redo things when they're not done on the level that you think they should be done, or you feel like they know they could do that work on. And that promotes that, oh, mom and dad is not playing. They're taking education serious. If they're taking it serious, then I'm going to take it serious. So then I'm going to do better at school, because I don't want to come back home and hear mom and dad get down on me because I did not do, or my teacher called my mom and she gets on me because I wasn't doing what was expected in the home that should have transition into school. Revisit the learning expectations you and your children created together when needed. Just, parents, kids are not going to forget the expectation. Trust me, they're not, because they know those rewards are there, and you discuss those rewards, and they help you come up with those rewards, and they're going to remind you about the rewards, but it's your job to remind them about the expectations. And so in order for the reminder to be revisited, you have to know and learn those expectations so that you can remind them when they get off task or get off the agreement. Speak in support of your children's teacher. This is so important. Even you might yourself, parents, may not like what's going on with that teacher or what that teacher is doing. Please don't ever let your child know what your negative or not so nice feelings about that teacher, because it can change the course of the day. Remember, kids at school 6.75 hours in a day. And so, if you just displayed it, you have some kind of feelings towards the teacher that's not nice, then what do you think that's going to do at school? And it's going to make them not want to do their work. It's going to make them not want to. They think that you got their back because you don't like the teacher. And so it causes real behaviors, behaviors that we consider being behaviors other than learning behaviors. And this is learned behavior. And then speak in support of your children's school. The same concept. Even though you might not like that school, make sure that you don't express that in front of your kids, because once again, you're going to be wondering why they're acting out. Maybe because they've heard you say something that shouldn't have been said. And once again, they're there 6.75 hours, 180 days for the school year. And so you want it to go as pleasant and as peaceful. And once again, they want the learning to continue, be it whatever issues that you have as teacher, parent, as adults. The bottom line to it is the focus to be on your children learning. And if they don't have that inkling of what's going on there between you two, then the learning should continue if the teacher is if they're doing their job. And most of the time, most teachers they're doing their job and pretty much beyond their jobs. And finally, create a learning village. And I said early in the presentation that how do you help your kid when they ask for help? I know some parents, don't have time to help with homework. Some parents, some of their homework is kind of difficult. So, just for whatever reason, you're not able to provide help for as relates to homework and in the needs that your kids have academically. Create you a village. Create you a village of people, or great relationships with people who can offer your children the academic help and support that your children need. And you have to move your feelings aside. It can be a family member, that might be a teacher in the family. You might not have a relationship with that family member, but that family member is a teacher, and that family member is a good person. Or they can help you with your child, or or a friend of a friend. You might be talking in the grocery store with someone, and just whatever the case may be, somebody at your church. But develop relationships with people to help you with your kids. And you might have something that they need that you can help them with as well. So it's not just all take, but it's a give and take. And it's also developing a bond, a relationship, a long lasting relationship with people that can help you and have like minds of helping you with the things that you are not able to do or cannot do for your children. And that's the end of my presentation. You can reach us on our website at www.kimshousing.org, because we offer tutoring, we offer like the homebound services, transition, early intervention. We offer testing for kids if you're interested in knowing what level your kid is on. But that's what we do. And please follow us on Facebook. That's it.
Kim, we're so happy and thankful to have you here. Those are some great tips to make learning easier at home. Thank you again.